Salutations, you bunch of wandering walruses. Walrusi? I feel like there might be a cooler walrus plural form, but I don't know. I'm sure you will correct me if it's not walruses. We're back, post-show episode 101, here to give you the 101. Fucking nailed it. Okay, we're here. Last week we had our post-show episode 100 extravaganza. We are back to your scheduled programming. We've got some catching up to do, so there's quite a bit of news this week. But before news, we talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, Season 2, Episode 14, our review of Killers of the Flower Moon, which we saw in theaters together, and we recommend you do that as well, but I'm sure we'll mention that. We do all the news in the entire world before we talk about Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, Episode 8, Gen V, Episode 7, the penultimate episode, as it turns out. We'll be back with the season finale in a little bit. And then Grant gives me the lowdown on Pluto. And of course, keep in mind, next week is another special episode. We'll be doing the Attack on Titan finale, the series finale, and it's real for this time. So we're going to have a lot of thoughts on that. Cannot wait for it. And of course, we got to give a big shout out to the comic book shop on Bank Street at 128 Bank Street here in Ottawa. You can find them at thecomicbookshop.com or Comic Book Shop Bank on Instagram. They spell shop SHOPPE. Chances are, if you're listening to this, you're probably a fan of what they've got going on over there. They've got manga, comics, obviously, weekly comics, magic cards. They've got anime figurines, plush toys. They've got Gundam buildables. They've got collectibles, build kits. They've got all the things. So check them out. Let them know that we sent you. Grant, hit that killer music.
Psycho Season 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, hey there, Grant.
Hello, David.
Hey, sweet pea.
How we doing?
I'm good, man. We're back to the regular post show. I was just saying to you, like, why does it feel like we haven't done this in a while? Did we miss a week?
I know. Yeah.
But I forgot we had, like, our 100th episode extravaganza last week, which was pretty tight.
I had so much fun. Listening back to that one was a real treat.
Yeah, man. If you, the audience, hasn't heard this yet, take a gander. It's all about our favorite moments in anime. We've already kind of plugged the hell out of it, so I'm not going to do that anymore. But it was really, really fun to record and really fun to prep for.
Mm-hmm. It was.
I think, like, I don't know if Grant or I realized, like, how much good shit we've seen as a result of starting this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, the things we always return to are dunking on My Hero Academia Season 5. And you're like, wow.
Never forget.
Before and after that, we've seen a lot of good shit. It's crazy. Anime, like, lifetime catalog defining type shit. So, anyway.
Big time.
There's some big stuff in this week's episode, too. There's so much news.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to start with the heavy hitter, I think. We got to start with Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes, sir.
Season 2, Episode 14. You know, because of last week, like, we did kind of go over Episode 13.
Yeah, we kind of, like, snuck in a episode review amongst the... Because the whole episode was just, like, an excellent fight scene, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of gushed over that, but...
I think, you know, it's always hard to say this stuff because of recency bias, but I will say, you know, in the fullness of time, we'll see how we feel. But currently, I think Episode 13 is, like, one of the better, you know, anime fights I've seen in probably a few years.
Yeah.
That one might end up on a list somewhere of, you know, top something anime fights. It was fantastic, and, you know, pats on the back all around. They really, really outdid themselves on that one.
Yes, sir.
But now, okay, Episode 14, Mai Mai and Ui Ui versus this special grade curse is kind of...
Yeah.
But they do that whole fight before the intro.
Yes. Yeah. I was wondering... I was trying to think, like, did they skip the intro that week, or for this episode? But no, they threw it in at the right time. I love how the tone is set in an episode, whether if the OP is, like, right up top, or if it's like, you know, delayed by like, you know, like 10 minutes or something like that, you're just like, we're in for a treat. If, you know, if they do either one of those things, you always know it's gonna be a good episode. But this was a great episode. You know, it's funny, and we'll get into like, there's a lot of, you know, weirdness around episode 14 right now. But all in all, I did think it was a really good episode. You know, like it's
no, me too.
I know, again, just a lot of talk of the animation, but what we saw was great.
Yeah, I was pleased with what was on the screen. Like, you know, was it like the best they've ever done? Maybe not, but like we also just came off of episode 13, right? And so everything can't be like that. And it's funny, like I won't speak for you, but I do tend to be critical sometimes when like animation is a little lackluster. But like I wasn't mad at this episode. I thought it was fun.
Yep.
I don't know. Like I don't know what to say. I mean, maybe we should mention it now. Like, should we just get into what the director's comments about it?
We can, yeah. Like, also, like, I didn't realize, you know, like, we are online, like, we read, you know, we see it, you know, there's a couple places you and I kind of check out, and we're, you know, we creep and we read and whatnot. But, like, I genuinely didn't see the fan outcry that supposedly came along with this. I'm not sure if it was, you know, the Japanese fans, you know, or like just, you know, like, kind of the internet spaces we don't see because we can't read the language kind of thing. But there was some pretty harsh, you know, criticism on the director and the episode as a whole. But I didn't see it. But there was enough for the director to come out and make like a very depressing tweet about it. So, which
is so shitty. Just as a side note, like I think that, you know, nobody is above constructive criticism, especially when warranted and all that. Like, you know, I had plenty to say about the first season that Mappa did of Attack on Titan. But like, you know, the level of like going after animators and directors personally on social media is so absurd and so below the belt and so unnecessary.
It's a little small-minded, in my opinion.
It's pretty. It's pretty disgusting. Like I don't know what do you call it? Like gross internet culture. It's just shitty. Sure. It's just shitty behavior.
Yeah.
But yeah, his quote. I mean, he kind of says.
It's a weird translation. I think
the translation.
Twitter or X, whatever. But
tough. But you can tell he's down in the dumps. He says. He wraps up this weird statement of, you know, don't give me your sympathy and encouragement. Right after releasing something that I'm not satisfied, that kind of thing will have the opposite effect. So for now, I just want people to leave me alone. I'll make up for it in my future work. Until then, I will live my life as the worst animator who has ruined a masterpiece.
I don't understand. Like,
it's like, my guy, you got to take it easy on yourself. Yeah. Like, it's just not that bad. And I didn't think it was bad. Yeah. Period.
At no point when I was watching the episode was I like, oh, like someone should be embarrassed about this display, you know? Like I was genuinely locked in and keyed in the narrative and, you know, the actual subject matter, what was taking place. And, you know, there's plenty of oh shit moments and like, yeah, like I noticed, but like, I wasn't like, I'm bleeding from my eyes, you know? Like I was in, it flowed, it had movement, and, you know, I was a part of it. I find this all very strange and a little blown out of proportion, to be completely honest.
Some viewing figures came out, and we'll talk about them later on Jujutsu Kaisen, but like I do think this is a really good example of like, this is probably the biggest anime in the world right now, and I think this is a great example of how the vocal minority can just really, really like get in your head and ruin things. And you hear, you know, celebrities and influencers and just people of public interest talk about it all the time, right? You know, for every 100 comments, there's one that gets in their head, right? There's one bad one, and that's what they walk away from, or walk away with, rather. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. You know, obviously easier said than done, but it's like, you gotta give yourself a little bit of a break here. I think this was a good episode.
And the thing, you know, and we'll get back to like this, you know, what happened in the episode, but you know, I think it's kind of bullshit to be outsing, you know, like unfairly outsing the director and the people involved when like it is, you know, it's very commonly known at this point that Mappa is running their studio, like their employees into the ground to put this stuff out. Like, how does this not get a pass? Like, these people are overworked. Like, you know, episode 13, like there was that there was a thing that came out, like they were doing finishing touches like hours before it was, you know, coming out, you know, like it was like it barely met deadline. So I don't know. It's like,
How is one director responsible? You know what I mean? Or like one animator? It's like, come on, guys! Like these people, And
like I'm sure everyone is like assigned like one episode. There's like various directors, and they're assigned one episode, and that's their project for like in the whole thing. Like I understand how this stuff works, but it just it seems very short sighted to call out this one guy. Considering like the season as a whole has been fantastic, and this episode was fantastic. Like, great ending. Very tense. Situation. I don't know. Yeah.
Let's talk about this. I have a quick question actually. So this my fight is really good. Yeah. Really, really good fight. I
don't think that's what the complaints are.
No, I know. But I just meant I really love that fight. I loved learning more about her character.
Yes.
This interesting bond between her and Wee Wee. And how she used the crow. Like everything about that fight was so Jujutsu Kaisen and so dope. Loved that. There are some like fucking screen grabs I gotta get of that fight where she just looks haunting. Dude. Cannot like say that enough. I loved that fight. The end though, so she comes out of that domain expansion between her and that special grade, and she sees Ghetto.
Yeah.
And so two things. One, as far as the story goes, he says not bad for a modern sorcerer.
Mm.
Which, words. We still don't have a ton of clarity on this, but my current guess, based on no like spoiler information, is that the guy puppeteering Ghetto's body is not a curse, but a cursed user. But fuck, I might be wrong about it. Okay. I don't know. So I don't know, but I want to know if he has a name. It would be so much less confusing to give him a name. Just the only reason I say that is this modern sorcerer thing makes me think that he's very old. Because you get the idea that if he gets to body hop, then it's kind of an immortality technique, but not really.
It could be that, but I also... Because, I had the same thought, and I was also thinking how there has been various references in Season 1, and I don't think in Season 2, but in Season 1, they've said, like, until Gojo came along, like, it had been, like a down period, right, amongst the sorcerers. So I think just as a whole, like, maybe it can be considered that all the modern, sorcerers are just, like, subpar to what they were.
Sure.
However, long ago, that, it could be that, but, again... It could also just be, like you said, like it's an ancient, sorcerer, like just, bit by bit has stuck around by, just by brain at this point. But,
or to that point, an ancient curse, right? Or just an old one. But then why would he have a brain? I don't know. But so the second part is, did you know, like it was a really cool shot. And that's why it stuck with me. He's there and like, he's like silhouetted and there's one of his curses like hanging out behind him and it's like a fish.
The dragon-looking one?
The dragon-fishy-looking one, whatever it is. I see that on tattoos everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere. Yeah, everywhere. And I think I told you, like, I've done a good job of getting my anime algorithm to be not spoilery.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting spoilers through tattoos.
Brutal.
The tattoo algorithm's getting me. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Anyway, great fight.
Mm-hmm.
Second half of did you have anything to add on that before we moved on?
No, really. I love the editing and timing of the counting, like the 1, 2, 3 with the coffin and this, the giant stone with the ribbons on it. Just very, very artistic, or not. Yeah. Maybe artistic is not the right word, but
innovative.
I think it was just very like it was just not the norm. It was like I like kind of the
unusual.
The unsyncopated timing of everything, like it was just like kind of, it was meant to kind of unnerve you, just like the sounds, like, as like the coffin breaking and the rock slamming and, I don't know, very, very, very cool, tight scene, because it feels like it lasted 20 minutes and it was like 6,
Also,
it was, very full.
They say this a couple times this episode, when Mai or May, whatever, is explaining her technique, or Wee Wee is explaining how she gets the birds to, do the suicide pact thing, and which is, I love that, by the way, so dope. But a couple times this episode, whoever, I think it might be the narrator or Wee Wee, someone's explaining like, oh, no one can survive this other than Gojo. And that happens, I think, twice this episode. It's like, oh yeah, this is like the ultimate move other than Gojo. And I think like the show's doing a good job trying to showcase like, it really was Gojo holding everything at bay. And not necessarily him, like, actively doing it. It's just
his
the
presence
fact,
alone.
Exactly. His existence. The fact that he's in the picture, nobody would try shit.
Yeah.
Which is why I guess they called out an episode after they sealed him Pandemonium, because it is Pandemonium now.
Truly. Well, it's interesting because maybe it's a detail I missed in the previous season, but she openly refers to herself as like a special grade sorcerer. And I never would have clued into that. I thought there was a very limited, like, I know, there's Gojo, and they consider Yuji as well, and then also Todo.
Itadori?
Yeah. Itadori.
No, they're only putting him to first grade.
Yes, but like there was like a line in season 1 where like, yeah, like he's first grade, but like as far as we're concerned, like he is like a special grade because of like the Sukuna thing.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, but no, he is like a first grade, but yeah, no, you know what I mean though.
Yeah, but, Okata is also special grade. So is Geto.
Oh yes, yeah, and Geto, yeah. So it's it's cool to see her flex and like those crows. When she used the first crows, and it was cool to see like an analytical fight of she's like, oh shoot, like I'm only in here, I only have 2 crows with me, to bring them into the domain, and she's the one is like to kind of suss out the special grade curse, and then she like drops the big one on him.
This is the best part of the show. It's the problem solving the characters do with all the like deep lore embedded in techniques and domains and like all the rules that they set in the show. Like, I see a lot of memes about people, like, saying their eyes are glazing over or they're trying to, like, keep up with it. I get that it's complicated, especially with the translation.
Yeah.
This one, I thought, worked perfectly. I was like, okay, this is fucking great. Okay, the rest of the episode basically centers around a new character, curse user named Dagon.
Yeah.
And they introduce the old man and show us his technique, and his name is now Bito. And we learn several things in this episode. I mean, so now Bito, here's a good example of, let me ask you this. Did this work for you? His explanation of his technique, which is basically frame interpolation, which is like
super fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
Very like, wink and, a smile to the fans in a certain way, but it did work, but I found the more the technique is explained, the less interest I had in it. It almost felt like they overshared too much with it. I felt like if I just taken it at face value, I would have, dug it a little more. But
I agree. I think they made it too complicated. I think
there's too much information.
If they cut it in half, like their own explanation in half, or like even like by like a third of what it was, most people would be like, oh, okay, so it's something about frames, and he's like forcing it into this specific condition, and people aren't ready for that. But like I could see what they were trying to do, and I was like, holy shit! Like again, the creativity is really impressive, but that one was not as well done.
It felt very not of the show. It felt more like, man, getting a lot of name drops the past couple of weeks, but it felt like something out of My Hero.
Sure.
Or even like
oh yeah,
like in Chainsaw Man, like the concepts are like very more open and like kind of cerebral of like how things kind of in the first season, like when it worked with like the Infinity Devil, like in the scene in the hotel, or the
yes
stuff like that, where it's like a little more obtuse and like they kind of play with like people's expectations. Jujutsu Kaisen has like cool abilities and kind of playing around with all that, but it still feels kind of very rooted in like standard shonen power tropes or whatever. But I don't know, like it is cool. Like I said, I think they overshared a little too much with it. They maybe could have fed that a little more down the line. But good fight. And Dagon I thought was interesting too, because like I recognize that name from like that's like a H.P. Lovecraft like villain, like Cthulhu-esque villain name, right? Like it's like an eldritch god or evil god or whatever, like a god of the sea. So I'm like, oh, like that's kind of cool. Like I wonder if like he's technically a curse, like a fear of the sea kind of curse.
Well, I think so, because there's this kind of specific scene, and I don't know if they show him in it, but there's this specific scene back in season 1 in the Junpei arc when Mahito is explaining like the creation of him and Jogo and maybe the one that Gojo killed.
Hanami.
And he's kind of saying, like, you know, there's been all these things, like these great forces of nature have like finally like funneled their power into these curses. And like, you know, I think the idea was like Jogo was like maybe born of something kind of fiery, volcano-like, etc. And then I think what this episode also confirmed, Dagon, is that all the beach scenes from season 1 were clearly his domain. So
yeah, that was cool.
I think he's like, have we seen him on screen though? Like, I think I saw his weird crab form.
We've seen the crab form before, like in you know, like as like they were riding him at points and whatnot. But this is like his, you know, I think what was the old guy's name again? The frames guy. He makes a reference to, oh, like, you know, time for you to take off your mask and show who you really are. So like, you know, it was clearly, you know, waiting to be. It's funny, we were joking about Dragon Ball Z a couple weeks ago. This is like, to me, reminded me of like Cell. Or, you know, even Majin Buu or whatever, but
yeah, he's like, okay, so I guess he is one of the big 4, or one of those, like, one of the big curses, so that explains why it's been so hard to get him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
The fight is fun.
Yeah.
I like seeing Maki again.
Yes.
I'm trying to think what else is really noteworthy about the fight. I mean, Fushiguro saves the day, which is pretty dope.
Big time. Hit him in his big brain, sussing out, you know, the exit.
Oh my God.
I loved the fake out they gave us at the end of the episode. I really thought that was Toto. The way they did with the hands and all this, like it was coming into a clap. I was like, oh, here we go, our boy's showing up.
And then better get some Toto this season, dude.
And then we find out who it really was. You know, freaking Toji. I was like, oh shit! I was like, this is about to pop off.
It's great because it's like, I think we the audience, we want and need a confrontation between Megumi and Toji, right? Mm-hmm. We need something, but it's like the show's like, well, it's not. We're not going to just put them in a room. Like, we're going to, yeah, sure, they'll be in the same space, but it's going to be during chaos, right? Yeah. Where like no one has time, and I fucking love it.
I'm looking forward to, because I can see Megumi not clicking into who it is at first.
Yeah.
But Nanami is going to know, like 100%, and to see his kind of inner dialogue, or, you know, figuring out like, oh shit, like what do we do here? Because, you know, he's very much trying to protect like the underclassmen and all that, and he's just trying to get everyone safe. So to see, I can see Nanami and him having the first kind of throwdown. You know, I can see Toji kind of like, you know, teasing at Megumi or something like that, and Nanami's just like trying to block it. But yeah, I'm worried. Yeah, I got very, very worried when I saw his face pop up. I'm like, oh, this is genuinely not good.
It's tricky, right? Because it doesn't feel like we're going to get out clean. You know, some assistants have been killed. Now Obito lost an arm. You know, Itadori lost a fair fight against Choso.
Yeah.
Which is fucking crazy. But then, I mean, hopefully we come back to that. Sukuna or some injected a false memory into Choso, or... So I don't know what the hell that was about, but we gotta find that out.
I did read the subreddit. There's a lot of discussion on that specifically.
Yeah.
And the general consensus, and there's no spoilers.
Better not be a spoiler.
No. This is just like general, like, you know, anime only chatter. That everyone seems to think that, because Sukuna also seems surprised. So people think there is an outside party also involved. Because Sukuna was like, oh, like I didn't expect that out. You know, just kind of. Whatever. But so I'm curious, like, who this potential third party is.
But I don't remember him acting surprised. I remember him just like chastising Itadori, being like, "You're losing to this kind of riffraff."
Well, he does make a comment of like, "Oh, that was unexpected."
And
I
thought he meant him losing.
No. I think it's directly about because Chozo not finishing him off.
Yeah.
And like clearly seeing something is up, and then it kind of fades back, like the way it fades in of him, and then they do kind of like the reverse of him out, which I thought was such a beautiful shot, like very, very subtle.
Yeah, God, that shot was great. But also, a couple girls find Itadori too. Were those ghettos?
Yeah, those are ghettos.
Post credits. Okay, those are the girls. All right, so I wonder what you think they help him. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's them or if there's another party involved with them trying to get Ghetto back or what.
So we got a lot of cliffhangers. We got to find out what happens with Toji and Ko, Itadori and Choso. Does Sukuna come out? What are these two girls up to? Obviously, Gojo's stuck.
Yeah, chilling.
No, is Nobara out of the fight? Yeah, or at least Nanami told her to hang back.
Yes. get the supervisor to safety kind of thing.
We're only barely a little more than halfway through. Busy. Okay.
So much.
Jeez, that was our first topic, and we got a hell of a lot more to go. Well, we won't talk about Killers of the Flower Moon for as long as it takes to watch it.
No, dude.
But we saw this on the weekend.
Blast. Had a good time.
Yeah, man, it was really, really fun. We saw it together. 3.5 hour movie. Grant, they got to bring back intermissions, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. I was good. I was a little strategic on my
fluid intake.
So I didn't have to go till after the movie there. But I don't know. I thought it was good. The seating made everything. I couldn't have seen that in my theater here. Like I would have been. In pain.
I meant to tell you, you got clutch seats. Clutch.
I know exactly what row. Every time in the theater, middle of the middle. It's perfect timing. I always shoot for section D.
Yeah, you're a gangster.
Yes, sir.
What can we say about this, Grant? I mean, I have a sentence, but it just sounds so cliche. Okay. But I gotta say it. I gotta say that, and I'm sorry to sound like this guy, but I think it's an important movie to see, and I think it's an important movie to see in theaters. And I'm sure that's what every Tom, Dick, and Harry is saying right now. Support theaters. But it's when you see the movie, you get it. It's like Oppenheimer. There's a lot of people, and I just know this. There's just going to be a lot of people who start this movie on a Saturday night, go to bed halfway through, and finish it on Sunday, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That is fine, but I promise you the experience will be better if you just see it on the big screen. I promise. It will be substantially better.
I would like to see it again.
Yeah, it's
while it's in theaters.
Yeah, I'm realizing I have actually quite a few holes in my Scorsese filmography, but I just haven't seen something like this from him, and I've seen most of his recent stuff. And
sure.
I don't know. It's just a good fucking movie. It's important.
Yeah. I don't want to, be, I don't know. It in its own way, I genuinely think it's a masterpiece. But it is a very, very dark, somber film, but considering the subject matter, it needs to be told as accurately and as it was. But I think it's just such an achievement in set design and the score and it's one of the most lived in movies I've seen in a while. I think even Oppenheimer, which is that's a biopic. This isn't necessarily a biopic, but more rooted in nonfiction than I think Oppenheimer is a little bit. Kind of feels heightened. Yeah. But no, I don't know. It was beautiful to look at. Just every little trick he did in the movie, as things kind of decay from the beginning to the end. I don't know. I really, I've been thinking about it nonstop.
I also, something worth mentioning, you mentioned the subject matter. It is a dark, somber movie, and it is I don't want to reduce it to this, but frankly, a little bit of a bummer. But
yeah, sure.
There's a version of this movie that comes out on the indie scene from an unknown, cutting edge director, and I'm sure it's an indie hit. But no one hears about it, you know what I mean? Or it does well at a film festival, and it's oh yeah, that I'm not gonna watch that. I'm just gonna get bummed out. But the reality is, this is made by one of the last remaining major premiere film directors that has been around for decades. And it's what I said to you in the theater. It's he's not saying it's his last movie, but how old is he again?
87. 87, I think.
You just don't know how long these crazy impactful people in storytelling are going to be around for. Scorsese I'm sure wants to do more, but you just don't know. And to have someone like him tackle subject matter like this and to just do it this kind of service, it's you just got to see the fucking movie.
You have to. It's so good. And Leo's great in it. De Niro is truly the devil. It's amazing.
Better than I've seen him in a long time.
But I gotta give it Lily Gladstone, every scene she's in completely stole it for me.
Part of the movie,
it's a bummer. Yeah.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, without spoilers, I feel there's portions of the movie where she is just not around due to this situation. But but when she is present, it's like, holy cow, like I want, I don't know, I don't think this is her first movie, but I look forward to seeing her again in other things,
Yeah, Lily Gladstone's unbelievable. I think you're totally right about that. I also think, dude, there are probably like 10 other takes on that character, and like how she played it or how she was directed to play it or whatever. Like she towed that line perfectly. Like it was one of the most believable performances I've ever seen. Like it was so good. And we mentioned Bob already, but on Leo, the first thing I said to Sam after I came back was like, lately with Leo, and like, he's earned it. He tends to be the story, right?
Sure.
Like Wolf of Wall Street is about Leo's character, right? The whole story is in service of a character piece, and he tends to do that. Revenant, whatever. And like that's fine. He gets these like really juicy parts, or even like his Django character. It's like you just can't take your eyes off him, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the most in service of the story characters I've ever seen him do. He's doing like a lot of stuff with it for sure, like the facial acting.
Yeah,
so you can't tell me that dude's face was not sore at the end of every take. But you know what I mean? He's like not trying to steal scenes. He's like literally just there to be the guy, and he does the guy really well.
But yeah, because I think I think that also comes with like the character he's playing, who is just like a fucking dope. Like just a true dummy. Like this isn't like, it's so fun. I was thinking of like what other like really dumb characters like are there out there? There's always like the adult drug. Like the first thing that came to my mind was George Clooney in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, like the Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
But I was like, but that's like a comedic buffoon, and like like the situations continue to come repeat themselves just because like who he is. But this is like just a true like his. Like just lack of thought and compassion is just like it continues to generate evil around him, and it was just
but
it was
oddly human though, right? Like
when
I say human, I mean like a specific kind of human, but still like oddly grounded. I don't know, man. Really impressive. I think Oscar noms across the board for the main cast. I don't know. The killer movie. Absolutely recommend you see it.
Awesome.
Anything to add before we move on to the news? We got so much news.
No, I just it was good seeing a movie with you. In IRL, and
maybe last thing we should on this Jesse Plemons.
Oh, my guy.
Solid performance. Did you know like that they rewrote this script and that was supposed to be Leo's role from that POV?
Yes. Yeah, because I think they had taken a peek at it and like this doesn't work. Like this isn't like the story that should be told.
It's funny because they were definitely right about that.
100%.
Like they did not need Leo like showing up on a reservation. What's going on here?
Yeah.
That's not the movie to make.
It's so funny because when like again, this isn't a spoiler for anyone listening, but when Jesse Plemons' character Tom White arrives, I love the shot of you can see Leo's looking out to the front of the house at the screen door, and you just immediately know like, oh, like my boy Jesse Plemons is here.
The law's here.
And it was just like the way they kind of like framed it. Like you can clearly see it's him, but there's like a bit of a shroud to it. I don't know. I thought it was a really cool shot. That's one of the things that stick out in my mind. I could have used more shot. Jesse Plemons personally, but
yeah, I think so too. I agree. Yeah. But he held his own with the big boys, and it worked out quite well.
He's a big boy at this point, in my opinion.
Apparently,
he's a real one. He was in. I watched that Power of the Dog last year.
You know what I did?
He was in that. He crushed. He was really good. It was him and his wife actually, Kirsten Dunst.
I did not know they were married. Go figure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good
really good. Really good movie.
Okay. News, and there's a lot. We got a couple weeks backed up here. Give me a break. Okay, so Disney acquiring rest of Hulu for $8 billion in change.
Apparently, it's reported that it could go up above 8. Like they're finalizing the deal right now, and because they're currently assessing stock, and like whatnot, so that number could shoot up quite a bit. Apparently,
do you know if Hulu's publicly traded?
I imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I'm not stoked about this. I'm not like I don't often like wade into these arguments, but like I just don't know if Disney needs to own more of the entertainment business.
Maybe they should sort their shit out. start buying more stuff, I don't know.
It's but whatever.
If this gets Undead Unluck on Disney Plus quicker, that'd be fucking great.
Good point.
So still not up there, not loving it.
Yeah, Gen V renewed for season 2 by Amazon. Kind of not shocking. It seems like people are digging it.
Yeah, I was surprised. I did we were talking a couple of weeks ago. I was kind of convinced that this was just gonna be like a one and done, like tee up for like the end of The Boys maybe, but corporations gonna be corporations and they're gonna keep making season after season.
But we should discuss theories. We're gonna talk about episode 7 here.
Yep.
Towards the end of the pod, so we'll get into it.
Jon Stewart walks away from his Apple TV show after a dispute with Apple over his future episode about AI in China.
It's a huge L for Apple. Big time.
Yeah, bad luck. This is
very bad.
Egg on face stuff.
They have
stupid.
They're particular about their PR, and as all corporations are. But I think they've had particularly good PR for a while, and I think that they have tried, like many studios do, because they are technically also a studio, to like make themselves look very artist first, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I can think of a couple examples: Taylor Swift, Apple Music thing, etc. And like, fucking Jon Stewart's kind of liked by everybody. It feels like, and him walking because you're not letting him talk about the things he wants to talk about.
And educate people on? Yeah.
Is just bad, especially when you look at the work he's been doing. Like, if you haven't seen The Problem with Jon Stewart...
It's a great show. I love it.
It's really, really good. And you realize, like, oh, wow. Like, I mean, if they're just going to let him do this, like, let him do it. Like, if this is the kind of work he wants to do, he's doing it really, really well. Just let him do this forever. And then here we are. And I mean, it's incredibly obvious for anyone not connecting the dots. Like, Apple leverages a significant amount of in-house AI and obviously has gigantic ties to China, as most Fortune 500 companies do at this point, and the NBA and whoever else. And no one's allowed to talk about it, but it's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Big L for Apple.
Yeah. I read that. I was like, well, that sucks. That's
I hope somebody picks it up. This would be a big win for Netflix, or maybe rebrands it, but I don't know.
I don't know. He's
probably not.
It was a big deal for him to come back to do this show. Like everyone, for years and years and years were like begging for more, true Daily Show stuff. And it's funny too, as this was happening, all that like Trevor Noah and the Daily Show stuff was going on at the exact same time.
Yeah.
He got fired or was walked away or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think Jon Stewart should be on TV educating people for as long as he can, because he truly is a service to the people. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, not many people like him left. Anyway.
John Oliver's doing his best, I think.
Yeah, he's been at it.
But
what else?
Yeah. The Fallout TV show is set to premiere on Amazon Prime April 2024. I am kind of looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've never been a huge Fallout guy, but I know that the fandom is large.
Yeah.
And I know, the basics about the world building. It seems like there's opportunity there.
I think it'll be fun. I think if, it's like, like The Last of Us did so well this year. It's genuinely apples and oranges, but, people kind of like a survivalist, post world, right? Like, it's with a nuclear family setting, a la 1950s. So it's, I don't know, I think it'll be cool to see it live action.
You often just need someone to kick in the door, right? And then everyone else rushes in. I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but because I'm sure this has been going on for a while, but I think it helps studios greenlight projects when you're like, well, look at how good this did and how good that did, right? Like, no one's looking at the Cowboy Bebop show being like, see, we can make more adaptations. It's like, you need to look at the winners, right? And yeah, Last of Us just had a huge fucking win.
Yeah.
Crunchyroll's been added to Amazon Prime as an optional paid add-on. That is
smart.
It's not like crazy news. Like, I don't know if people care about that, but like, it is a big deal as far as distribution goes, right? Like, Prime is very big.
Yes.
Having that exposure on Prime is a big deal, and good for anime.
Yeah. More eyes is only better for everyone.
Speaking of more eyes, you sent me this shit. Jujutsu Kaisen is okay. This is the crazy part.
Yeah.
Jujutsu Kaisen is currently averaging 6.3 million viewers in broadcast in Japan alone.
Love it.
Per episode, not counting streaming or pirating. The big thing there is not counting streaming or pirating.
Which I imagine is like the lion's share of the viewership.
Fucking bananas. The streaming, that's insane.
And then, to follow that up, after I found that stat, that same company put out, so Demon Slayer Season 3 averaged over, in the same scenario, broadcast only, they averaged 14.5 million viewers, which is just, the power of Demon Slayer is true.
Everything in
real.
Perspective, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, broadcast, they have a very high population density and all that, but, you can cherry pick the statistics all you want, but,
sure.
That's nearly half of our population.
No, I know.
It's
crazy.
fucking nuts.
Yeah. A lot of people watching anime, man. I'd love to see it.
Get it.
Have you seen there's rumors that Matt Reeves might be doing some Scarecrow movies for DC?
Yeah, DC. What do you want? What do I say about DC? They're in a weird spot. Would that be within the new DCEU, outside of it? These standalone movies they're doing? I don't know, but what I will say is I'm down with more Matt Reeves.
I am down more Matt Reeves. This is probably the only DC stuff that I care to read about at this point. Or if they did another Suicide Squad movie, I'd be up for that.
I'll watch what they do when they reboot, but
sure.
I think like everybody else, I'm pretty fatigued. And also, if they put Arbats in the suit again, I'm queuing up for him. Because that's also also with the assumption that it's Matt Reeves again, right?
Mm-hmm. I hope so. That was a great movie.
Yeah, it was. Okay, Attack on Titan news. Ooh. Okay, we got a couple things to cover here. So, number one, the Attack on Titan final chapters, final fucking, V1 underscore V2 underscore final, is actually coming out November 4th/5th.
Yep.
Within 3 or 4 days of this coming out.
We're also trying to iron out the exact air date.
Yeah, so... it's going to be over an hour and a half, or about an hour and a half, 1 hour, 26 minutes. We will absolutely be covering it.
100%.
If you're new here, Attack on Titan is the genesis of this podcast. It's the reason we started it. I cannot believe we're here.
It doesn't feel real.
It's going to be an emotional episode. But yeah, we're very, very excited. We will be covering it. Tune in next week. We're going to cover that. Maybe a whole series review. I don't know, but it's going to be a big one.
Yep.
But some other stuff has come out about that. Isayama posted a thank you, and you had mentioned several people.
Yeah, a lot of
key. Can you go on that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of key staff came out, just more or less doing similar to what Isayama did. It was clearly done through an official, kind of letterhead. But the composer for the series as a whole, for majority of the run, who's come back for this, to thank you, just saying, how the show is so linked to the music and the soundtrack and so on and so forth. The leader, or I guess the band leader of the band, Linked Horizon, who's coming back to do the final OP, which, I think I meant to, it was on the top of my mind to talk to you when I saw you on Saturday. Of oh my god, Linked Horizon is coming back. We get this, we get finally, I was a little bit the Rumbling was great, and the This Is War song was great, but Linked Horizon is AOT. Without a doubt. So, and he had a really nice message. A couple of producers and key animators and directors from over the years all had kind of these, letterhead thank yous to the fans and their excitement for working on this. And there's a couple of really interesting details in this Yama one. I'm assuming you caught about.
I might already forget though. What are they?
Well, so it was kind of a link note. So Isayama kind of he made mention that thank you for the studio allowing me in and get my changes in, which I thought was very interesting. And then the director of the episode straight up said thanked Isayama for writing the final script for the final episode. So it just shows how linked he is to his IP or whatever.
I remember him saying stuff like that in an interview he did with Mighty Mouse. I sent you a little video about Mighty Mouse the other day. Yeah, he's a big dork, and they interviewed each other. Yeah, because Isayama is a huge MMA fan, and has like kind of famously based some of the Titan looks on MMA fighters.
That's so cool.
Which is so amazing. But he said, because he had so much control, creative control on the anime, he was like, oh, like when I wasn't a very good drawer, I was like upset at like how some of the fights looked early in the manga. But it was okay because when we got around to do them in the anime, I was able to like have more say and like be like, no, do it this way. I didn't really know what I was doing back then.
Yeah, this is what I would have wanted.
Yeah, so he has, to your point, just a lot of, I mean, it's his property, right? It's his IP, and it's great to see that he's so closely linked to it. God, I will say, part of that statement, you just jogged my memory, was like, he felt bad for Mappa because it was going to be such an ambitious, undertaking, and it sounds like this was probably the best way to do it. And yeah, it just sounds like just like a 90-minute action set piece, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah. It must be a very rewarding feeling to know that, yes, it had, like, genuinely has frustrated a lot of the fans and kind of, confused us to no end. But to know that, whether you could be jaded and say or cynical and say it's like, for money, they're trying to milk it and, the ads and this and that. But, like, to know that, like, they really wanted to land this and they have split it up so it all got its fair share. Being the original creator and seeing so much, adoration from the fans at the studio making it and trying to make this like such a perfect thing, like it must feel amazing, to know. Like I can only imagine how he feels.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I do have regret about watching that trailer. Like I kind of skipped through it. Yeah. But what I will say is it does seem to be the best they've ever done. And I think that when we watched their last 90-minute special, I think we said that like, okay, so this is the best they've done.
Oh yeah,
like for Mappa's work on it, like, and it proved, I think, something that no one was questioning, which was like, obviously they are capable of crazy good shit when they have time, right? And this time it looks like they really did it properly, and it's crazy that they delayed this. Do you remember that? It was supposed to be like 4 months ago or something, or I think they might have delayed it even more than that. But it's like,
I believe it was supposed to be August, July, August, yeah.
Anyway, I can't wait. I can't wait.
A couple days.
They also revealed there's going to be an Attack on Titan like prequel chapter about Levi's childhood that's going to come out early next year.
Are they just doing like a manga adaptation of the OVA?
I think they're suggesting it's like net new.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't know. Maybe just I don't know. That's all I saw.
Very interesting.
Yeah, boy.
So a little bummer news. Matthew Perry passed away at the young age of 54. I did not know he was only 54. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Tough one, man. I'm a big Friends fan. Grew up on it. I think that a lot of people kind of identified with his like humor in Friends, and I think like it's not inaccurate to say that that's what he'll be remembered for the most, right? And he had this great quote about like, I would really rather people remember what I did for like people suffering from addiction. He was on a really big push last year for his book about addiction and all this stuff and mental health in general. And I don't know, I always really appreciated him knowing that like that dude was like so light on his feet in Friends and like, but even though we know now that he was struggling quite a bit during that time, but like to look at that dude, like the loudest, funniest dude in the room, and like no, like he's hurting like really badly. I don't know. I thought that was like very humanizing of him to be so honest and right about. And no, it's just a big fucking L. It really sucks. I don't know. We don't like cover like celebrity deaths and stuff like that often, but like I don't know, that one bummed me, dude. I know I can finish most of his punchlines in Friends. Like I have a memory for that kind of stuff, but I know most of his jokes. In that series because I've seen them so much.
That's the thing. Not to say like I'm not affected by it, but like I have no association to Friends at
all. Oh really?
Yeah. Like so like I know of him. Like I've seen like I've seen the snippets and the the bits over the years and stuff like that. Like you could just tell like he was like a force of that show. Like clearly a fan. Like anytime you talk to anyone, it's always like their favorite character is like Chandler. I understand the magnitude of what he did and brought, but
he was on he just had it. Quote, you know what I mean? Like he had it at that time, and it's always you can't recreate that kind of lightning in a bottle. But that was his 10-year run or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think it just goes to show like you know how the internet can get and the social media. Like whenever a celebrity dies, it's it just feels like it's that day of that person's day or whatever. But it just feels like his passing was like massive. Just it feels like it's still going on. People are still talking about it. And we're here talking about it now. But like it's it just it feels like his they're doing a bunch of like best of Chandler stuff. Like everyone, it just feels like everyone's getting involved. Ugh. And it doesn't feel gross, which is nice.
Yeah, I can't even watch it. I'm too bummed.
Yeah. So
but yeah,
it is really sad to hear. But
okay, well, let's keep going with the sad stuff. Speaking of the Killers of the Flower Moon, we should have mentioned this after we covered the movie. But as of yesterday, it's only made $85 million worldwide on a $200 million budget. It took a 61% drop off in its second weekend. Yeah, we already made our case. See the movie in theaters, but that's a tough one, man, and you hate to see it, but it does come into this next story a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna have to explain this one to me too.
So I think you and everybody remembers Scorsese, notoriously dumping on the MCU and superhero movies kind of like at large.
Unforgettable.
And like, he never, one thing I gotta say about him, he is a fucking gangster, right? Like he didn't walk back his statements the moment he got like pushback. He was asked about his statements in every interview because he was promoting a movie at the time, right? I don't know what it was.
Well, what would have been The Irishman?
Yeah,
maybe he was producing something.
Yeah, I don't know. But he was asked about it, and he was like, yeah, no, that is what I mean, and I will clarify. I'll give you more context. I don't give a fuck. So there's that. And then, Joe and Anthony Russo, who hold the title, or they, kind of briefly did for Infinity War and Endgame, for highest grossing film and all that, they, in particular, never really responded. I think they at one point were like, well, that's a bummer because he's like one of our favorite directors, right?
Sure.
But whatever. Everyone had an opinion on that bullshit. But anyway, I think long story short, Scorsese's been on TikTok because I think he has a daughter who's on TikTok.
Yeah.
So he participates in like some silly trends every now and again, which it's all good fun. And he did one about Show Me Sadness, and he was kind of dumping on, I think, on movies and stuff like that, like not doing well. And he said to his dog, Oscar, show me sadness. And it's like this little pooch, I can't remember the breed, but his dog's name is Oscar.
Okay.
Joe Russo does a remix of the TikTok, and it's him watching it and going, oh, that's funny. He goes, isn't that cute? His dog's name is Oscar. And then it cuts to him with his dog. It goes, anyway, come here, box office.
Oh my god.
Pretty funny. I don't know. We don't normally cover that kind of shit, but it fucking killed me, dude.
Yeah.
Come here, box office. That is funny.
Yeah, make Gray Man too. Like.
Yeah, Gray Man. Yeah.
I don't know. It's yeah, I gotta know.
Well, they did that immediately after Endgame. They did that fentanyl movie with Tom Holland.
Oh no, that was in like development hell. That had been in the bag forever.
Yeah, no, but like it was the first movie they put out.
Oh sure, yeah.
Post Endgame.
Yeah,
and like that was tough.
Yeah,
that was tough.
Tom Holland. Yeah, trying to sell Tom Holland as anything other than a high schooler.
It's not the Spider-Man isn't the problem. It's his fucking face. It's how young he looks.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
No, I know it's like what were they thinking casting him in that Far Cry? Was it Far Cry?
Uncharted.
Huh?
Uncharted was
yeah, but that dude looks 20 still. Like it's
good for him, but
but you just can't pretend he's Mark Wahlberg right now, dude. It's like him and Timothy Chalamet. It's like you're eventually gonna get a dad bod, but until then, maybe just keep taking.
At least one looks like a skeleton man. You could do something with that.
Yeah,
you could do something with Gaunt. You could do something with a cherub face.
Cherub.
But so the Logan and Blade Runner 2049 writer Michael Green has been hired to write the Marvel's upcoming Blade movie starring Mahershala Ali, and who is apparently ready to lead the project over script issues. And there's been a reported $100 million budget for this movie. Dave, I just want a good Blade movie so bad, so bad.
But they're gonna put it in the MCU, right?
Uh, yeah, because that's like their whole thing. But I would be more interested if they did like a sideline thing where like it's like the Batman, like the Matt Reeves Batman.
But they won't.
No, I know, but like, wouldn't that be cool? There's like, fuck it, like we're just gonna let someone make like an R-rated Blade movie.
That's the thing. That's what it should be, especially with Mahershala Ali, like a heavy hitter like that. Like, I think what I'm fucking tired of, out of nowhere, is like the MCU getting these absurd big names, big actors, and big directors, and like giving us these watered down versions of them. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want you to get like double Oscar winner Mahershala Ali who has shown like insane range and be like, all right, dude, be scary in a PG-13, go. You know what I mean? And like with a director or a writer who's like written like really provocative, intense, complex, dark shit, and be like, all right, take all of that and write it for a PG-13 movie, go. It's like
like I understand, like, it's hard to make a movie about a vampire ripping around with a sword to look like, cerebral or whatever. Like, that's not what we want. I just want like a competently like in the world Blade movie, like I don't, again, your points is like things being watered down. Like you just can't do that. Like, Guillermo del Toro was perfect for, the original Blade movies, with Wesley Snipes. Like, like he understood horror and gore and, suspense, and like those movies, they are what they are, but like they're fucking awesome, like,
dude.
They should just do that again. I don't know. Maybe bring Ryan Reynolds back. That'd be hilarious.
It'd be awesome. Like, but then again, they're saying they're doing Deadpool 3 rated R, so
yeah,
I don't know. I'll probably see that. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Back to anime here, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've like gone deep on Frieren Beyond Journey's End.
No, not since we first talked about it.
So episode 8 is out. I think I did just put something on our Instagram podcast at Part-Time Otaku Podcast on Instagram, like just about like Grant was right. Damn right. It was a couple of my favorite screenshots from like episode maybe 3 or something like that. Mm. This show, while not comparable to Jujutsu Kaisen, is probably the best thing on TV, if not for Jujutsu Kaisen. And like I think, that might split the audience a little bit, but it's like they're very different shows. But this is like
this show is the definition of less is more.
Yeah, this is amazing.
It's so subtle. It's very quiet. Like, there's a shot in this episode. The episode's called Frieren the Slayer, which is aptly named. And there's a shot where the demon kind of because there was at the end of episode 7 there was kind of like a cutoff of like that one of the demons came into her prison cell when she's wrongly, and we're like, okay, like this is gonna pop off, and then it immediately gets right into it. And I wish I had a screenshot of it right in front of me, because like it would be like the ultimate like computer monitor background of he gets like the wire wrapped around her, she uses her mana to block it, and there's just a shot of like just the disdain that she looks at him.
Yeah.
Like as she's like, like clearly like, give me a second there, like I'm gonna drop your ass kind of. It's just one of the most like visual storytelling, just a facial expression. It just blows my mind what they can do with animation.
There's also
like, it's so cool
that she gives a similar cold look at the ending when she kind of touches down to face off against, I think it's Aura.
Or the guillotine,
Or the guillotine, and she's introduced as the I have the quote here. Yeah, Frieren the Slayer, who has slew more demons than anyone in history.
Yeah, and then you see her, the tips of her feet, she's slowly rising, or descending down. Oh, yeah, great shot. Awesome episode.
I also love what they're doing with Fern.
Yes.
Like Fern in that shot when she's flying and she hits the is it Lugner, the blonde-haired demon?
Yes, the main demon.
It is Lugner, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Great voice acting on him too, by the way.
Yes.
I think we know that guy.
Yeah, he's very. Yeah.
You don't know anyone else he's done, do you?
Not on the top of my head, but the second I heard him talk, I was like, oh, that's one of our guys.
He has a great quote in the middle of this episode again, and it's, "I despise geniuses. They lack the beauty of accumulated effort." Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the episode, he kind of says that Frieren is one of those geniuses, though I would disagree with the lack of accumulated effort, considering how long she's been at it. But yeah, it's starting to feel like an ensemble show. Fern and Stark, that's working.
Love Stark. The Stark stuff was awesome this episode. The shaking,
Shaking
the conversation he has with the Graf, the herald or whatever, or the king or whatever.
Yeah, dude.
He goes, "Oh, I can hear you shaking," and he goes, "Yeah, I am." And he's like, "Oh, that's good." Like the back and forth they have, like it shows you have valiance or whatever. And,
Yeah,
but
that is a nice touch.
I don't know. It was a really cool moment. Stark makes the moment of like, "Yeah, I hope this chair isn't too expensive because that's how I'm getting you out."
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. That character could be so stereotypical and boring and over the top, and it is
Stark
kind of realistic. Yeah, Stark. He could totally be Zenitsu, and I'm glad that he's not. He could be that loud, obnoxious character. He feels like he's nervous and he laughs and he kind of jokes around a lot of the scenarios that they're in. But like, I don't know. He's also kind of plays like a straight man as well. It's a refreshing change to that archetype that could go awry.
What I was gonna say about Fern was like she looks like Frieren in that shot where she's levitating out the window and she shoots she hits Lugner with that fucking bull track type shit. Like
Zoltrack.
Zoltrack? Yeah. Voltrack. I don't know.
I think it's Zoltrack.
Yeah, you're right. But she look like I think she's kind of unconsciously or subconsciously rather kind of becoming a lot like Frieren, minus the immortality.
By proximity, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. Like the pacing, the slow burn to action to just like watching how Frieren kind of lives. I don't know. I think you were right when you said this is like kind of everything you wanted Mushoku Tensei to be, because it's not an isekai, so it's different in that way. Yep. But it has an incredibly lived in. That's how you would say, like lived in fantasy world. Mm-hmm. And like it doesn't have any of the bad stuff. It's weird, man. Like I think I don't know if I'm gonna get roasted for this. Maybe not having a male protagonist and therefore like having a way to like dumb down the fan service. Sure. And they actually also kind of they directly address why there aren't many elves. I think she says something about like our species, like our instincts are not to reproduce. So like the character herself is kind of asexual.
Sure.
And there's just like there's no bullshit. You know what I mean? Like there's no anime fan service bullshit.
But it still finds its way to get like, silly anime cutesy moments.
Yeah.
Like,
they kept the good parts.
Yeah. The wholesome side of like those moments. I know it's as odd as that sounds, but like they find a way to kind of still do it, but not, just kind of delve into, what have you. But I really love, and it's so weird, but I think my favorite detail of this episode, and it kind of just shows how kind of like awesome, or I think just amazing this show is, in say you have like anime A, right? That character similar to Frieren goes, they realize, the guard is dead. They just like move on and they run away.
Yeah. But
like they take the time to go like, oh shit, like, I kill a demon, the demon disappears, and there's a dead guard, like who do you think did it? Like it just, and they take the time to kind of do all of that. It's like it feels like they need to explain that, but they do, and it makes sense for all that. It just
you're
show, man.
You're right. Like they thought about it, right? They're like, okay, well, this would be like a problem that she would have to solve. This,
legitimate
like we don't just
of the situation.
Yeah, we don't just roll through it. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. It's very based,
thoughtful,
but also very fantastical. She's a fucking 1,000-year-old elf or several thousand. So I don't know, man. It's got all the good shit. Cannot recommend Frieren Beyond Journey's End enough. I think this is 28 episodes.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And I don't think it's in 2 cores either.
No, it's straight through.
Let's let's go. Like this is fucking great.
That's what I want to see.
We've got Jujutsu Kaisen for at least another couple months. And this probably obviously into the end of the year, end of the new year. I am hype. Attack on Titan's ending. My God.
Yeah. Right now, my trifecta is Frieren, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Shangri-La Frontier. Just I'm eating very well with these fantasy-esque shows.
Got a few minutes into that. Wasn't in the mood. I'm gonna give it another try later.
Yeah, you gotta get it. You gotta be ready for it. Take your time. It's gonna be there.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of things that are gonna be there, nailed it. Gen V episode 7.
Episode 7.
This is a busy episode, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
I don't even know if we've done like a breakdown of this show in like a specific episode yet.
No,
on the podcast. Did they release a bunch at first, like 3 at first, maybe?
Yeah, I think Amazon usually does that with their these shows. I find first 3 are always out right away, and
so
then week to week.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think most of this episode is like it's kind of, and it's spoiler warning, but it's kind of like the reveal on this Indira Shetty character.
Sure.
We learn her motive.
Mm-hmm.
Which was her family was killed on the plane that Homelander took down. Callback. Hey, they got the universe, right? Why not use it? So I get that. Did you think the superhero airborne virus, a la like COVID, was like a little on the nose or a little too soon? Or
that was legitimately hard to watch.
Okay, you did.
That was pretty gross. Yeah.
I was like, so is this like what are we doing here? Like, is this good because it'll be everyone at top of mind, or is it like tired and a little obvious?
No, because the argument can be made, yes, but if I'm calling this right, they are gonna double back into the whole like alt-right Homelander movement with the virus being out, and
they do,
and the government made the government made COVID or whatever, the world order made COVID, like the kind of that correlation. I think that would be chef's kiss. That's I think that's how they make that whole alt-right movement thing from The Boys. I think that's how they move that forward without kind of redoing it again. Just take like a this angle, but
I don't like that, for the record.
No, you don't think so?
I mean, now that you've said it, I think they do it. Like,
sure.
It seems like, they're gonna do this.
I do feel like a whole QAnon thing kind of coming down the pipe in The Boys, and I think this is kind of like the backdoor way of doing it.
I'm very curious to see where they go. I think I can't remember. Did they confirm or not confirm that this upcoming season of The Boys is the last one?
I have no clue.
Yeah,
I'm
me
not
neither.
sure.
I don't know and like you said earlier, they're doing another season of Gen V. So I don't know how long they want to cook with this, but I guess we'll see. They brought that CIA chick from The Boys, the one that Butcher reports to, and I was kind of nervous she was going to get offed there. But she didn't.
That was kind of interesting because I wasn't really sure where this took place in the timeline. Like if this was like pre-Boys or kind of like in the middle of like season 2 or something random like that, but this is like now, like it's all post, it's like the middle of it, because I think they kind of ended season 3 with I'm blanking on the AOC stand-in there, the head exploder. What's her name?
No, I have her as fucking AOC in my notes, dude. It's bad. I can't, and they know what they're doing. Obviously, it's incredibly intentional. She's great, by the way. Like she is. The character is great. Like I love what they're doing. But yeah, okay. So she,
but like, yeah.
Go ahead.
So everything is like post season 3, where like there's references to Soldier Boy. How about that fucking Soldier Boy cameo in this season?
No,
how?
AOC gets a hold of the virus, though. Is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like clearly that's going to be tucked away into like the Boys storyline. So that's what I do think Gen V is affecting the Boys, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
And it's maybe not just the one-off handoff, knowing that as a second season they can kind of continue to build its own thing. But
feels like the Sam kid, Luke's brother.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to end well, right?
No.
I feel bad for him.
I don't think he makes it. I think he goes next episode.
Something bad happens for sure. Yeah. I will say, he really grew on me this episode. Man, the character names, I feel bad. He grew on me. The girl that shrinks, the blonde.
Emma. I like Emma. I think she's probably my favorite character in this show.
Agreed. I think they really nailed the young cast, and I think anytime you go a little bit younger, it's hit or miss. It could be. I think that it's a little, obviously a little risky, and especially the what are they? The bigender person. The
not Jason.
Jamie?
No.
Is it a J?
I
I don't
it's a
know,
J.
but in a room, I think that sounds like a good idea. And then you get two actors, and you see what they have to do, and you're like, fuck, like this is actually a pretty big ask.
Yeah.
And I think it's been working for me in the last couple episodes more than in the beginning.
I will say I do think there is like a legitimate weak link, and it's the
Male actor?
Yeah, the guy like that's like the Magneto ripoff. The one with his dad has the same power as him.
I thought you meant between the character with two.
Oh
people.
no!
You mean yeah. The Magneto rip. I agree with you.
I think I understand his story is like kind of like locked into the progression of the story. But he's very much everything's kind of revolving around him a lot in a weird way. He continues to push the plot forward and like try to rescue Sam and go to this but I think I did think the Mind Wipe girl was kind of the weak link at first, but like she really like went these past two episodes I thought were awesome. Like when she kind of like goes unhinged in this episode towards the end of this episode.
Agreed.
I was like, whoa, good for you. Like you are crushing it right now. It was really, I think this is by far the best episode. I really liked it.
Me too. Man, they do gore. I mean, they always do gore so well, but fuck, do they ever do gore well?
And they show it too, like which is always surprising. I find
forcing Indira to suicide in front of it. Oh my god! Like shows don't do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And The Boys does it every fucking week. Yeah, you see someone's head blown off. We got a head pop this episode from AOC. She blew the scientist who got manipulated into creating super COVID. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, man. Good episode though. I agree with you. Probably the best so far. When does it come out?
Sorry?
What day does it drop per week?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, it's always just like, I'm like, oh, what to watch? I'm like, oh, right. I'm probably due, so.
I end up watching on the weekends, like Saturday, so it has to be like probably Thursday, Friday, I guess. But,
all right.
Also, they are timing it. The season finale is the season premiere of Invincible. They're doing it back-to-back.
God. Let's go.
Oh, so that comes out November 4th. So that means...
so there's only 8 episodes of Gen V then?
Yeah.
So this was penultimate. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Which felt like a penultimate.
Yeah, for sure. I just didn't know. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Invincible. Fuck yeah. Did you see the trailer for it?
I started and I was like, you know what? No, let's not. I could start feeling like all the celebrity cameos coming in. I'm like...
I won't spoil, but they do a slide, or not a slide. They do like a black screen, and then like cued with music of like all the guest star names, and I was like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, dude.
They got some headers, dude. Very exciting.
Any fun ones?
Yeah, but dude, even if you wanted to know, my memory. It's like, yes, there are fun ones, but no, I don't remember them. Okay, do you want to plug the pilot of Pluto first, or should we wait till next week till I've seen it? What do you think?
I'll just briefly speak on it. I think you absolutely should watch it.
This is the Netflix anime, which Sam brought up to me because it's really making the rounds on the internet. People are saying it's a smash hit.
It is a smash hit. It's a adaptation of a kind of retelling of the Astro Boy story from like the early manga and animation from like the 50s.
Oh, okay.
So I think the manga was like 2003. It was kind of like they kind of just like took another swing at that story and kind of made it like a darker tone. Yeah. This show is very dark.
Really? I didn't know that. Like it looked like a fun sci-fi in the trailer, but I didn't know.
No, it is heavy.
We like that.
The first thing that came to mind is Vivi. Like it screams Vivi.
That's crazy to me. That's just not what I got from the trailer. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. That's incredibly exciting to hear.
Yeah, it's robots and humans kind of cohabiting the world together. There's like seems to be some cohesiveness in this first episode. It's like the whole, I don't know if you know this. I didn't really know either. It's a serial killer story. They're tracking down a serial killer.
What? No.
Yeah,
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. I couldn't. So each episode is an hour long.
I was about to ask.
Pilot is an hour and 10 minutes.
Fuck.
8 episodes. And
how far are you?
I watched the first episode. That's it.
Okay.
I watched it before we recorded tonight, actually, because I thought we were going to be talking about it. But anyways,
sorry, dog.
No. There was a miscommunication on our parts, but no, very Vivi. it's funny because there's a show I've been trying to finish for like years now called Spriggan, also on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
And
I've
it
seen
kind
the
of reminded me,
poster art for it. Looks good.
yeah, like it's different, like because that show, like it's like it's a sci-fi story. There's like these different world orders and countries are competing for all this like ancient like historical artifacts kind of thing, and it's like a world hopping story. And like there's one episode where they go to there's like the silent forest in like Peru or something like that, and then there's one based on like the pyramids, and they're trying to get all the like these what people think are religious artifacts or like aliens and whatnot. Like they left these objects here, and humans use them for however long. And it's a very cool sci-fi world hopping story, and also about like the main character is like a teenage android who's like a super machine, and he works with the good guys and whatnot. And I kind of got that vibe with this show. Not like this like the main character is like one of the most, they're kind of teeing up like the 7 wonders of the world, like the seven most advanced robots in the world, like where the world came together from different countries and like designed this robot, and like they're on this pinnacle. So they've kind of like teed up like this 7 wonders of the world scenario, where Astro Boy is deemed one of them. Like this main character, he's like a German detective robot who's like the most advanced detective in the world. And it's very out there. It's very, very, very cool. Like it's so, yeah, it's
animation quality up there.
It's like flawless. Like
damn
work. I don't know who made this. If it honestly at moments it felt like it was a Wit Studio joint. Just the animation style and like the imagery and the fluidity, and also I see a lot of people comparing it to Violet Evergarden.
Oh, I mean that's also a gorgeous show.
Yeah. But again, I think it's more like the android ties and like what is
sure.
memory, and so it's, I don't know, it's genuinely a must watch. Like this is as blockbuster as anime it gets.
My God, we're eating good, huh?
Yeah.
What's going on, dude?
It's getting tight around the belt.
I mean, I guess
now.
this is when we did the first Psycho season, was like fall 22, right?
Yeah, it's getting cold. People are inside. They want to watch good shit.
Here we are, dude. I'm digging it. Okay, I'll check it out this weekend. I'll report back.
Sounds good.
Damn, dude, Pluto. All right. Hey, you did a good job selling that. Okay, I think that's it, buddy. Is that it?
Yeah.
All right.
I guess next time you guys hear us is probably our AOT special episode.
It will be. So, don't worry. We'll cover everything else. We'll come back with Jujutsu Kaisen the following week. We'll have been into Pluto. We'll have the finale of Gen V. A couple episodes on Frieren and lots of news, I'm sure. But that'll be after next week's special episode on the series finale. Attack on Titan Shinjeki no Kyojin. Cannot believe we're here.
Wild.
So fucking excited. We don't need to plug it much more than we have. Like, just tune in, hold on to your hats and your butts, and be prepared. Shouts out to the Comic Book Shop for the continued support of the show. Much appreciated. Check them out. We'll be back next week on our regular timing. We're a day late this week. I haven't even mentioned that yet. I'm sure future Dave / past Dave will have mentioned that. But thanks for your patience. We will see you next week. Grant, go ahead. Say the thing.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.